This tank engine on the Kent and East Sussex Railway will soon be able to travel 4 miles further west, to Bodiam, thanks in part to a £1 million lottery grant. In a region of choked roads, steam is re-establishing a role as part of the transport network, reversing 50 years of decline. It'll be possible to get to Bodiam Castle by rail. The castle will have its own station, and visitors will be delivered on delightful little trains, thanks to the foresight of a bunch of school kids.
Enthusiasts led by a group of grammar school boys from Maidstone fought long and hard to reopen the line, and the first section reopened in 1974, and since then in stages we've reopened 7 miles of the original line. Now we run to Northiam, and we've got plans to reopen to Bodiam in the year 2000.
Meanwhile, the viaduct on the outskirts of East Grinstead appears derelict. But unseen on top of it, a gang of volunteers are hard at work. For 10 years, they've been driving the Bluebell line north. And now their goal is in sight, East Grinstead, where they will be reconnected with the rail network. Once they've restored the viaduct, the Bluebell faces a final hurdle: rubbish. East Grinstead's waste was emptied into a railway cutting. The old cars, washing machines and lawnmowers all ended up here. But which job is most daunting?
The truth is really the tip. There's about 135,000 tonnes of rubbish in there, all of which has to be dug out before the railway can come through. We're planning to move it out by train, and that's likely to take about 12 to 18 months. About 200 trains in all will be used. It's the major works on the line, and it's going to cost in the order of £4 million.
The Bluebell Railway have taken on big projects before, like reopening this half-mile-long tunnel to traffic. For years now, the Bluebell has had a one-track mind, and that one track leads to East Grinstead.
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt, that is our one sole focused aim, is to reach connection with the main system. Years ago we had a railway which ran from nowhere to nowhere, and I think if you look that motoring was cheap, but now fuel costs are rising. County councils are interested in increasing their public transport infrastructure, and if we can play a part in that, then, you know, so much the better it will be for us.
And there's no shortage of motive power. This freight engine was almost new when thrown on the scrap heap. It's one of more than 30 engines on the Bluebell line. One locomotive like this could do the work of 40 lorries. No wonder transport planners are beginning to study freight traffic all over again.
We're now over the points on the single line to give it a bit more regulator, a bit more steam, and reduce the cut-off, which is like the gearbox on a car.
Did British Railways throw steam away too hastily?
They just seem to be hell-bent on ridding the entire system of steam. And what is even more frightening was the fact there were locomotives out there who may not have even worked 5 years, who were in virtually as new condition when withdrawn, and, you know, they're a national asset which were just chucked away on the scrap heap.
As we get going a bit faster, I alter the cut-off a bit more.
started with 2 engines and 2 coaches. Over the years our collection has been enhanced, and we've now some 33 locomotives we've currently got on the books. We've got something like 45 coaches, we've got a variety of rolling stock, wagons, etc. If there weren't preservationists around, I mean, we wouldn't be seeing the amount of rolling stock, locomotives, wagons, etc. preserved and run as they are being done now in the condition they are today. And certainly in future years, the generations would look in their exercise books and say, oh, that was a train, it's a pity we haven't got any left.
As it is, there are hundreds left in Britain in various states of repair. But then our love affair with the steam engine was bound to be special. It was invented here. It's only when you see how big steam locomotives are that you realise the tremendous labour of love it's been for volunteers. This 100-tonner is a mere middleweight. It should have rusted away 30 years ago. But it's as good as new. And then there are the carriages. This is how a Metropolitan Railway carriage should look. And this is how they do look when the Bluebell get hold of them. Sometimes there's very little left. Whole stations have been frozen in time. The adverts for things like the Daily Sketch, the luggage from the Almeida Star, the chappie from HMS Excellent, the war-weary push bikes, the dear departed. The real heroes are people who do the humdrum jobs for years on end to support something they believe in. Like sitting on a digger, for instance, inching your way north towards East Grinstead for 10 years.
It's very important. It brings half the line back to its original location. We need the traffic from East Grinstead, and we need the rail connection. It's going to bring a lot of public in through public transport as opposed to using the roads, which we're very keen to promote.
It's for the love of it, isn't it? It's just for the sheer love. At the end of it, standing back. I used to go home from here covered in dirt at the end of a busy Sunday, and yet I'd be really happy because I'd go with the sense and satisfaction of having achieved something on that particular day.
The Cantonese Sussex Railway was built at the turn of the century as the world's first light railway. Tenterden was quite a sizable town but had been missed in the railway mania of the 1840s, and the farmers in particular wanted a way of getting their crops and hops and milk to market, so they fought very vociferously for a railway. It never really made very much money at all. It paid a dividend once and started losing money in 1926, and so it struggled on until 1954 when it was closed. They did a survey just before the closure, and they had 90 trains a week, and between them they carried 118 passengers, so there wasn't really much of an argument against it going in 1954. When the line was built, it was built very, very cheaply, and the cheapest way of building the line was just to follow the contours of the land. So if there was a hill, you went up it, whereas the mainline railways used to carve cuttings and embankments to make it as flat as possible. So it was cheap to build, but it makes it quite difficult to operate. And that's part of the charm. The little engines are working very hard, and they really are earning their keep here, whereas some of the preserved railways, the big mainline engines with tiny trains are a little bit like caged tigers.
actually met, it's 13 years ago now. Claire wanted to pass in front of the train, and that's how we met. She asked whether she could actually pass in front of the engine, and I think I gave some derogatory comment.
But I married him anyway. It's the first time in 8 years that I've managed to come down. I've got 2 children, and one's gone to her grandma's, one's a beaver camp, so I've managed to escape at last and come back.
My railway career started through the involvement with this railway, actually. I was a young lad picking ox, come down from London, and at Bodiam Station, the driver let me get in the cab of an engine and blow the whistle, and it seemed to spark something off, and I've been working on locos ever since. With a steam engine, you're creating the power, the fireman's creating the power as you're going along, whereas with a modern electric or diesel loco, the power's on tap as much as you want. So when you're creating the power yourself, you're very conscious of being economical with it. And a good driver can get a good effort out of an engine without using too much fuel. You have to balance what power you've got against the load what you've got and balance that against the conditions of the rail. If you apply too much power, the wheels slip and you don't get anywhere, and it's sometimes very difficult to start. We've got a level crossing halfway up the bank, and sometimes we get stopped at it if there's no one to operate the gates. To restart again can be very awkward sometimes, and it takes a little bit of toing and froing sometimes to get moving, but we always get there.
It takes about 40 people to run the railway on a day like today, and they're all here because they enjoy doing it and want to keep steam alive for future generations to enjoy. Comes to life in that the morning you open up, unlock, put all the luggage out to give it a bit of atmosphere and such like, and then the passengers start to come along, and every day is different. You never know quite what you're going to get, but the engines are here, and it really does come to life once the engines arrive and the trains start running in and out.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Henry Sussex Railway's Light Railway Gala. The train now approaching the platform will form our 2:25 service, calling at Bolton and Northiam only. Please stand clear of the platform edge as the train enters the platform and allow passengers to alight before boarding. Thank you.
Even amongst generations that have been born since the demise of steam 30 years ago, there's still that interest. You put a fire in the belly and they come to life, and they've almost got a personality of their own. So yeah, we get lots of very young children here and youngsters who are thoroughly enthralled by steam. We've taken some big steps forward in the last few years to make sure that it is financially viable well into the future. The extra money that we generate from Bodiam, once that's open, will actually help secure the line into the next century.
Railways like the Kent and East Sussex and the Bluebell have now got a very powerful ally, a man who agrees it's time to get reconnected. Ed Burkhart is an American, but he runs Britain's rail freight franchise, as well as railways in America and New Zealand.
I think it's a great plus in this nation that many of the lines that were closed were saved. I'm going to make some predictions. The phone's going to ring and they're going to be asked to haul freight on the network or passengers on the network. From a freight standpoint, we hope to have every line in Britain with a regular service hauling a wagon here and a wagon there to or from customers that are rail connected.
Certainly Ed Burkhart's thinking, if you read his thoughts, they're certainly very positive. He's brought a complete new realism to attitudes. He's taken on board the fact that we're all in the same business.
Ed Burkhart has brought railways back to profit on 3 continents. He's regarded as a business genius. So when Ed says little freight trains are coming back, people listen. Early one morning in the spring, before the sun had driven away the dawn mist, a few people were up with the rooks to make railway history. A through passenger working by steam from the Watercress line onto the rail network had never happened. Today, a green train was going to change all that. Its operators, the Midhants Railway, were confident their engine was up to the task of taking 400 people on a tour of southern England.
It's a very, very powerful and capable engine. It will do any work that the bigger engines would do up to, I expect, 75 miles an hour. And then after that, the big engines would obviously, like the Bullies and the A4s, would obviously leave it standing. But we're only allowed to run up to 75 miles an hour today anyway, so it will keep pace with anything else that's out on the main line.
But first, a traditional engine man's breakfast, cooked on the shovel in the most powerful oven in Hampshire.
We've got the guard signal, so I've had to put it into gear. So we put it into full forward gear. So the start from here is directly onto a 1 in 60 gradient, which is a very awkward start because it's on a curve. Just to warn anybody that may be in the vicinity, shut the drain cocks, release the actual steam brake, and open the regulator very, very gently. We bring the reverser back a bit once we start moving. Bring the reverser back a bit more so we can go up into second valve. And let the reverser out slightly and accelerate away.
It's a dream to drive. It's a driver's engine, and it's very easy to drive, and it's very responsive, and it will do whatever you want it to do, basically. It was a middle-range mixed traffic engine, and it would, when it's in its BR day, it would have covered for the failure of the West Countries, back to Britain's and merchant navies, actually on the Bournemouth and Exeter expresses, and on the Kent lines in particular. Pre-61, they worked most of the expresses in that area anyway.
The green train had escaped from its cage to revisit many of its old haunts in southern England. It's an ironic twist of fate. British Rail tried to axe engines like this and the lines they ran on. But it was British Rail that was axed instead. Who would have guessed that a machine born in the 19th century and killed in the 20th would be back, in good time for the 21st?